Namaskar and welcome to Sansad Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching our show Perspective, where we bring you detailed analysis of key national and international issues. Today we're going to talk about the assembly elections in 3 states. Now, the Election Commission of India on Wednesday announced the schedule for Nagaland, Meghalaya and Tripura assembly elections. Voting for assembly elections in Tripura will be held on 16th of February and Nagaland and Meghalaya on 27th of February. The results will be declared on 2nd of March. The term of Legislative Assemblies of these 3 states, Nagaland, Meghalaya and Tripura, are due to expire on 12th March, 15th March and 22nd March respectively. There are more than 62.8 lakh electors combined in these 3 northeastern states which are going to polls. BJP is the ruling party in Tripura with Dr Manik Saha as Chief Minister, who took over from Biplab Deb in May 2022. NPP and BJP form the ruling coalition in Meghalaya with Conrad Sangma of NPP as the Chief Minister. And the ruling coalition in Nagaland is a United Democratic Alliance comprising of National Democratic Progressive Party, that is NDPP, the BJP and the Naga People's Front NPF with Neiphiu Rio of NDPP as the Chief Minister. So today we'll take a look at what are the major key issues here in these 3 particular states which are going to polls, and also how interesting and important are these elections going to be. And for more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of experts. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Mr. Sandeep Fukan here joining me in the studio, senior journalist from northeastern state Assam only, and keeps a very close watch on all the developments out there in those states. I've covered elections there also. Dr. Sunil K. Chaudhary is also with us, Professor of Political Science from Delhi University. And we have 2 more senior journalists who are joining us. David Letflang, who is joining us, a senior journalist from Meghalaya, and Loreni Sanglao from Kohima in Nagaland is also with us. Welcome, both of you also, to Sansad Television. I'll begin with you, Sandeep, and let's start by asking the obvious question. One is how interesting these elections are going to be in these 3 states. And let's start with Tripura only.
Actually, all the 3 states, they're small states. They're very beautiful states, all 3 of them. And they would also be politically quite interesting. Tripura, for the simple reason that BJP is in power. They are defending themselves against what could possibly be a grand alliance of opposition parties. Remember, Tripura was the other red fort, as it were. You know, the left ruled continuously for over 2 decades. But that was sort of breached by the BJP in the last elections, and what a breach! I mean,
and with a huge majority.
Yeah, so it was just the left got swept away. The Congress has been fairly weak. There is also emergence of Trinamool Congress there. So these factors make it quite interesting, because BJP will have to defend themselves or defend their performance. They haven't had it easy. Remember, they've had in the course of 5 years, they've changed their chief minister. Biplab Deb was brought into Rajya Sabha, and Dr Manik Saha is now the chief minister. There is infighting and factionalism there, but the opposition also isn't really in a very strong position. Congress, as I said, is much weak. Is likely to play the younger brother's role. In Tripura, I would assume that the left would play a bigger role, or the big brother's role. Meghalaya is again interesting. Mr. Conrad Sangma.
We'll go to Meghalaya, Sandeep, but first staying with Tripura. How about the smaller tribal parties in Tripura?
Yes, in fact, I'm glad you actually stopped me there. Yeah, so the biggest factor would be an emerging party, this alliance, Tripura Motha. So this is formed by, it's an alliance of tribal parties formed by former congressman, young leader, Pradyut Manik Deb Burma. He is from the royal family of Tripura. He's been fighting for what he calls as Greater Tripura land. So Greater Tripura land, he says that whoever is willing to give me in writing, I will align with them, with that party or that alliance. But he's also, on several occasions, he has sort of reached out to his former party and the left, saying that, they should come and support me.
Okay.
So I think there are issues there, because the left will perhaps not agree with a greater Tripura land, or may have reservations. I wouldn't know whether they would agree at this point or not. But those are issues that they will have to settle. But yes, he is going to play a big role in terms of being a kingmaker in Tripura.
Okay.
And the other states, as I said, are
we'll come to the other states one by one. But let me first bring in Dr. Chaudhary here as well on Tripura. Dr. Chaudhary, do you agree that given the kind of picture which Sandeep here painted, it's going to be really interesting? BJP, which emerged victorious with a huge majority, in previous elections, and this time around the left, which was swept away, aligning with Congress. It's one-time, political enemy in the state.
Yeah, in fact, one has to see that the anti-BJP parties, that is led by left, or the other civil society organizations, or the tribal organizations, how effective they can just place their candidates vis-a-vis BJP candidates in this state. I would say that anti-incumbency one has to see, because the change of leadership in BJP might give this feeling of anti-incumbency in the state. But keeping in view the landslide victory with which BJP won the state last time, challenging this left domain over there, left has been dominating the state for past so many elections. So one has to see that whether this anti-incumbency is still surviving over there or not. But I would say that this the national policies which have actually percolated down to the Tripura, besides other two states, one could see that this actual realization of this Act East policy, where Tripura was a major beneficiary besides other states, one could see whether this anti-incumbency would be there, keeping in view the developmental planks over the state government and the national politics there. Secondly, I would see that the Northeast as a whole, there is more a shift from cultural integration to economic integration. And BJP has been instrumental in the state leadership, has been very progressive in taking those developmental benefits to the state of Tripura. So bringing that into point, one could see that BJP would be winning the elections, or how strong their position would be in countering the electoral gains of the BJP, one has to see.
Okay, indeed, it's going to be a very interesting battle out there in Tripura. Let's now shift focus to Meghalaya here. David Letflang is with us. David, when we look at Meghalaya, of course, there's been a lot of political action over the past few years, starting from the time when the results for the previous elections were declared. Now, in these elections, how do you see, things moving ahead? The ruling alliance, NPP and BJP?
The ruling alliance, the NPP and BJP, if you were to call it, because the BJP has only two legislators, and yet they did manage to come in and be instrumental in forming the government. Because when in 18, the Congress was the single largest with 21 seats, and no one actually expected that it would be a non-Congress government. However, the carpet was swept, very swiftly. And yes, the BJP was instrumental in getting the NPP to put together a coalition, very ably supported by the UDP, which was then the largest, the second largest, the largest regional party with 8 legislators. And then subsequently, other smaller regional parties came into the fold, and yes, they managed. And ever since, the NPP led and BJP supported Meghalaya Democratic Alliance government held the reins of power. So, if you were to say that from a very clear perspective, and what people have seen, is that though the BJP may not have won many seats, 2 out of 60 is seriously insignificant. But they did manage to take charge. They did manage to keep the NPP and everybody together. And so, yes, what the people are keen, and the voters are actually interested into, is into seeing how proactive and how more upfront the BJP would be, because till today it's just been the NPP that's been branding itself. The BJP hasn't done so. The regional parties have also left all the branding of governance to the NPP. So whether it is a tame submission of the fact that come what may, we'll go, to the biggest or to the best bidder.
Okay.
That remains to be seen. Having said that, yes, the NPP is very confident that it would resume power. It would again come back. But at the ground, it does not seem to appear that way. And like when you started, you said Meghalaya has always been full of surprises. Yes, indeed, Meghalaya has always sprung all kinds of surprises when it comes to political dynamics. So, looking at this, I would say right now it appears that the battle is set. It remains to be seen on how the regional parties take the game forward and take the war forward. The NPP has a game plan. They're going full throttle. It remains to be seen what the BJP will now come up and share with the voters as to whether it is time for them to be in the forefront.
And how about the previous election single largest party, Congress? How are they faring, David?
Well, frankly, it looks like this doesn't look too good in the sense that it has had to start afresh from 21 seats to 0 seats in 5 years in the assembly is ample sign that the Congress has not been able to hold its fort, its family together in the state. Uh, First, we had immediately in 2018 Mr. Dango, the former speaker, who quit
Okay.
to join the NPP, contested the by-elections but lost to the UDP, and then you had two deaths
Okay.
of two legislators. The by-elections were won by the NPP, and then, of course, in 2021, Dr. Mukul Sangma, the former chief minister, a very senior congressman, left the party with 12 legislators. That left the Congress with just five, with 17. And then the other, out of the five, three have joined the UDP, two have joined regional parties. So obviously, the Congress party, which actually is a household name in Meghalaya, widely accepted, this time round has to start from scratch.
Okay. Okay.
Leading the front would be just the party president, who is the current Lok Sabha MP, Mr. Vincent Pala, and a couple of former MLAs. But really, it's like a new beginning for them.
Okay, okay. We'll come back to that with both of you as well. But let me first bring in Lorraine from Kohima. Lorraine, as far as Nagaland is concerned, how's the political battleground set there this time around? Because therein also is a coalition government when again BJP is a coalition partner.
Yes, here in Nagaland, as many people know, there are regional parties coalition with BJP party since last government and since the previous government also. But since starting last government, there has been a triple alliance with the PGB, the NDPP led by the present Chief Minister Neiphiu Rio. So what we see here, till in the coming election also, it has been declared also, but again, they have this 2040 seat sharing that has been announced from before, and even now, the present Chief Minister is also saying that the alliance is still intact and their seat sharing is also still intact. But again, when we look into how the NEDA convener has commanded, Sri Himanda Biswas has also commanded that it's yet to be decided. So looking at that scenario, because NDPP also on the first, let me come to this. NDPP also, if you see now, they have more MLAs and legislators. They have the 40 seats also. Along with that, we have seen the NPF MLAs who has joined the NDPP. So now they are floating with many sitting MLAs, where I think they might be finding a little difficult in distributing the ticket also because they have only 40 seats, so which has been already been announced.
Okay.
So maybe in the last moment, something might come up also, or they might go with the intact 40-20 also seat sharing with BJP. But again, on the other hand, there are again 4 MLAs who are left with the NPF party, the opposition, who did not join the NDPP and BJP coalition. So here what we see in Nagaland is that, yes, of course, in this government, NDPP also has been a little handicapped because they could not make the final decision in making any final decision without the consent of the higher authority, which they say like BJP in the center, which has the high command.
Okay.
So every time for any decision making also, they have to depend for the high command to make the decision. So what we have seen through these 5 years of term with the UDA government, previously it was Dan government, but now when most of the MLAs from NPF, the opposition government, joined the Dan government, they have changed into the United Democratic Alliance,
Okay.
which is the UD.
Okay.
So NDPP has been a little, like crippled in a sense, if I say. So they could not make any decision for the state development in any kind of development with developmental works or any kind of decision
Okay.
or any issues. So there has been, a little of tug of war in between also. And unlike other terms.
So the regional parties, versus the national parties there, and that brings me to you, Sandeep. When we look at both national parties, let's first look at the Congress, because in Meghalaya, as David was pointing out, it looks like Congress's loss was throughout the 5 years, despite being the single largest party, and in 5 years they came down from 21 to 0 when the next elections are announced. Another example of Congress's mismanagement, that's one. And two, when we look at BJP, which is in alliance, in part of the ruling coalition in both the states, Meghalaya and Nagaland, despite the fact that it doesn't have much presence.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can say in a way poor political management, though it was not entirely their doing, as Mr. David pointed out, that eventually many of these legislators, saw future in regional parties. And Mr. Mukul Sangma, who was a tall leader of the Congress, he actually went to Trinamool. So actually Trinamool Congress is the principal opposition party in Meghalaya. But to begin with, I think the fact that they were not invited, despite being the single largest party, the governor did not invite them because the BJP the Assam Chief Minister, Mr. Hemanta Biswa Sharma, played a very quick role in. He is also personal friends with Conrad Sangma, so he played a very important role in bringing together all these
alliance partners.
Yeah, and then organizing this coalition. But going ahead, I think there are issues between the BJP, as Mr. David pointed out, that what will the BJP do? Because in terms of political branding, the National People's Party, NPP, has been sort of is the big brother there. But they have had several differences of opinion with the BJP. Take the example of the Citizen Amendment Act. They were strongly opposed to the act.
Okay.
So there are other issues also.
And then what about Nagaland? When we look at the alliance partners there as well, not everything has always been hunky dory in every alliance,
No,
but problem of plenty for for the ruling coalition.
I think Nagaland alliance is very rock solid. I mean, they are very stable, and Neiphiu Rio is as reliable an ally as you can get in any political coalition. I think there the challenge could be, to take along the Naga civil society when it comes to the Naga political issue.
Okay.
That has seen a stalemate of sorts. It hasn't really moved beyond the framework agreement. Though in recent times, I've read that NSC and IM and Nationalist Naga political organization, they have all sort of extended their support to the center. But I think that's the big issue. And of course, development is going to be a big issue. Regional parties in the northeast tend to stay with the alliance that is ruling the center, because it's also easy for them. These are small states. They depend on the center's largest in terms of funds. So I wouldn't see much of a problem. But in Meghalaya, I understand that there are serious issues, actually from the side of the BJP.
Okay.
Mr. David can perhaps throw a better light on it, but apparently the BJP in Meghalaya wants to sort of break out of that alliance and come on their own. I don't know how far these reports are true, but this is what...
We'll have to wait and watch till the time, the candidates are announced, the entire intricacies of the alliance partnership is announced there, and which should happen, in the next few days. But before we bring this to an end, Dr. Chaudhary, from the national parties and regional parties perspective, as Sandeep was pointing out, as David and Lorraine was also referring to, this combination, the rise of regional parties out there and their relationship with the national parties, be it the BJP, which is in the ruling alliance, or the Congress, which is on the losing side.
I would say that these three northeastern states, they reflect the second quarterfinal to Lok Sabha 2024. The first preceding one was Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh. When I say second quarterfinal, these three important states, northeastern states, both Meghalaya and Nagaland, they reflect the strength of coalition system. So long as BJP as a strong partner of both these two coalitions in Nagaland and Meghalaya, we have to see how these two coalitions sustain in these two states and how effective the opposition, either from the Congress or the other regional players, challenging their hegemony or their dominance there in the states. As David has also rightly pointed out, developmental issues are important. Local issues are going to determine the elections results in all these three states. So we have to see how this battle goes far ahead, moving away from these local and developmental issues to the national issues, and how BJP tries to coalesce together with these two strong coalitions in Meghalaya and Nagaland, and how strongly it comes out in Tripura. The days have to be seen.
Okay. Sandeep, do you agree with that? Second quarterfinal before 2024, because there are many other assembly elections lined up in this year.
I think this is a busy election year. We have Karnataka, we have Mizoram, we have Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. So it's a busy, it's a busy election year this year. But I think for the BJP, it is very important. These states are very important, not just because, it breaks the stereotype that, BJP has emerged as the alternative pan-national party to the Congress, right? And these were Congress strongholds. So ideologically also for BJP it is very important to have governance or be partner in governments that are not the traditional Hindi belt states. These are not Hindi states. Tripura
increasing the footprint.
And it is very important for them ideologically to have faith in their allies or to maintain good relations with their allies.
Okay.
And also, if possible, retain Tripura and come back to power.
Okay.
That is why it is important for them, because for their presence, simply because of their presence.
Okay. Let's see what 63 lakh odd voters in these three states come to a decision vis-a-vis who wins these elections and who gets to sit in the opposition again. Thank you so much, Sandeep Fukan, Dr. Chaudhary, and David and Lorraine as well for joining us and sharing your views and insight. We'll keep on coming back to you guys for more inputs for the next 2 months of political battleground, which has now been set in these three states, that is Meghalaya, Nagaland and Tripura, with the election dates announced. We'll come back again with more details on this and other topics as well. Till then, keep watching Sansad Television. Thank you.